Every year on the same night, Claire's ex-husband came back. Not for her birthday. Not for Christmas. Not even for their wedding anniversary. He came back every October 17th at exactly 9:40 p.m. He never stayed longer than 1 hour. He never explained where he had been. And every time Claire asked why he kept returning after leaving her, Daniel gave the same answer. Because I promised I would. For 5 years he appeared like a ghost from a life she had tried to bury. Sometimes with flowers. Sometimes with an old photograph. Once with a ring he refused to let her keep. Then, on the 6th year, Daniel came back bleeding, carrying a black envelope with Claire's name on it. This time, he did not say he was sorry. He only placed the envelope in her hand and whispered, "If I disappear tonight, don't believe what they tell you." Then the lights went out. And when they came back on, Daniel was gone again. Claire Bennett had married Daniel at 26 because he made ordinary life feel dangerous in the best way. He was the kind of man who kissed her in the middle of arguments, drove without saying where they were going, and left handwritten notes in places no one would think to look. Claire used to love that about him. Until mystery became silence. At first, Daniel disappeared for hours. Then for days. He always came back with tired eyes and a story that sounded almost true. A delayed meeting. A broken phone. A friend in trouble. Claire wanted to believe him because loving someone often begins as trust and ends as an excuse. Then one evening, Daniel vanished for 11 days. When he returned, his wedding ring was gone. Claire asked if there was another woman. He said no. She asked if he still loved her. He said yes. She asked why he kept leaving. He said, "Because staying would hurt you worse." That was the sentence that ended their marriage. The divorce was quiet. No screaming. No court drama. Just 2 signatures and a sadness that filled every room. But 1 year later, on October 17th, Daniel knocked on her door at 9:40 p.m. Claire should not have opened it. But she did. He stood there in the rain, holding a small box. Inside was the key to their first apartment. "I'm not asking you to take me back," he said. "I just needed you to know I didn't forget." Then he left. The next year, he came with a photograph from their honeymoon. The year after that, with her favorite white lilies. Each visit reopened something Claire had spent 12 months trying to close. Her friends called him cruel. Her sister called him manipulative. Claire called him a wound with a heartbeat. By the 5th year, she promised herself she would not answer the door. But at 9:40, when the knock came, her body betrayed her. Daniel stood outside, older, thinner, holding nothing. "You shouldn't come anymore," she said. "I know. Then why do you?" He looked past her, into the house they had once dreamed of filling with children. "Because this is the only night I'm allowed to see you." Claire froze. "Allowed by who?" Daniel's face changed. For the first time, she saw fear. Before he could answer, a black car slowed at the end of the street. Daniel stepped back immediately. "I have to go." "No," Claire said. "Not this time." But he was already walking away. And for the first time in 5 years, Claire followed him. Claire followed Daniel through the rain with no coat and no plan. He moved quickly, looking over his shoulder as if someone might step out of the dark and drag him back into whatever life he kept hidden from her. At the corner, he turned into an old parking lot behind a closed pharmacy. The black car stopped across the street. Daniel cursed under his breath. Claire grabbed his arm. "Tell me the truth." He looked at her hand on his sleeve like it hurt more than the rain. "You were never supposed to follow me. I was never supposed to spend 5 years waiting for a man who kept disappearing." Daniel closed his eyes. Then he reached inside his coat and pulled out a black envelope. "If anything happens to me, open this." Claire stared at it. "No. You don't get to do this again. Claire. No more riddles. No more dramatic exits. No more showing up just long enough to make me miss you." His face broke. "I left because your father paid me to." The words were so absurd that Claire laughed. Then she saw Daniel was not lying. My father is dead. I know. Then why are you still afraid? Daniel looked toward the black car. Because he wasn't the only one involved. Claire's father had been a respected judge. Cold, powerful, impossible to impress. He had hated Daniel from the beginning. Said he was reckless. Said Claire deserved a man with a future, not a man who lived like every day was stolen. But paying him to leave? No, she whispered. Daniel's voice dropped. Your father found out about my brother's debt. Dangerous people were looking for him. Your father made a deal. He would make the debt disappear if I divorced you and never told you why. Claire felt sick. And you agreed? He said if I didn't, they would come for you too. A car door opened across the street. Daniel pushed the envelope into her hand. Inside is everything. Names. Records. Proof. Daniel, come with me. For 1 second, he looked like he wanted to. Then headlights washed over them. A man stepped out of the black car. Daniel whispered, Run. Claire did not move. The man called Daniel's name. Daniel turned back to Claire, touched her face once, and said the words he had never said during any of his visits. I came back every year because that was the only thing I refused to give them. Then he walked toward the car. Claire opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a photo. Not of Daniel. Not of her father. It was a photo of Claire as a child, standing beside a woman she had been told died before she could remember her. On the back was written, Your mother is alive. Daniel knows where she is. Claire looked up. But Daniel was already gone. Again. Claire did not sleep that night. By morning, she had read every page in the envelope. Bank transfers. Old phone records. A private investigator's report. Letters from her father to men whose names never appeared in newspapers because powerful criminals rarely needed publicity. But the last page mattered most. It was an address. A small house near the coast. Claire drove there alone. An older woman opened the door before Claire could knock. She had Claire's eyes. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the woman said, He finally told you. Claire's knees nearly failed. My mother? The woman began to cry. Daniel had found her 3 years after the divorce. Claire's father had forced her mother to disappear when Claire was 5, threatening to destroy her life if she ever returned. Daniel discovered the truth while trying to free himself from the deal that had taken his marriage. He wanted to tell you, her mother said. But every time he got close, they reminded him what they could still take. Claire hated him then. And loved him. And hated that both could exist in the same breath. 3 weeks later, Daniel was found. Alive. Barely. He had been beaten and left outside a hospital with no wallet, no phone, and a broken hand. Claire went to him because some endings do not ask permission. Daniel opened his eyes when she entered the room. You found her? He whispered. Yes. He looked relieved. Not proud. Not heroic. Just tired. Claire sat beside him. I don't know how to forgive you. I know. I don't know if I want you back. I know that too. For once, he did not disappear. Months passed. Daniel recovered slowly. Claire visited sometimes. Not every day. Not because she was weak. Because she wanted answers from the man who had ruined her and saved her in the same life. On October 17th, 1 year later, Claire heard a knock at 9:40 p.m. She opened the door. Daniel stood there with no flowers, no photographs, no secrets. Just himself. I'm not here to disappear, he said. Claire looked at him for a long time. Then she stepped aside. The story does not end with a kiss. It ends with Daniel walking into the house and leaving the door open behind him. Because this time, Claire was not waiting for him to come back. She was deciding whether he was allowed to stay.